What's going on, guys? Sam here, and in today's video I want to go over a new product that was just announced by Aputure, the Aputure P600C. This is the big brother to the Aputure P300C. It has twice the output and a lot of new features, so it's going to be really exciting to see what this light has to offer. So let's go ahead and get into it. So this video isn't really going to be dedicated fully to just the specs of this light. I'll leave a link to Aputure's release video if you want to get all of those specs. I'm going to go over a lot of specs in this video, but mainly it's going to be my thoughts and opinions on this light and the value of it, so you guys can get more of a sense of, is this light worth it and how is it going to fit into my workflow. So first off, I just want to say this light looks amazing. I was already considering purchasing the P300C due to its excellent light output, the fact that it gives you access to the full range of the color spectrum in any hue, the amount of control that it gives you through the Sidus Link app, and its size and soft light output. But now the P600C literally doubles down on all of that, and it looks awesome. So obviously something that Aputure has been after for a long time is more light output, and you really have to applaud them. Every fixture that they've come out with has been brighter than the last one, and they've also become more and more efficient. So this light is no different. It puts out about 2300 lux at 3 meters, which is really good for a soft LED panel. According to Aputure's video, it's about 75% brighter than Airy Sky Panel S60C, and in comparison to other lights in the industry, it generally comes in at about 50 to 70% brighter than the competition in most cases, and in some cases it ends up being about twice as bright. Which is pretty impressive. What we're constantly fighting with as a DP is light softness versus intensity. It's always a trade-off. Your source only outputs so much light, and if you soften it, you're losing a significant amount of exposure on your subject because the light is being dispersed. What makes these soft LED panels nice is that your original source is already outputting a softer light, which means you don't have to diffuse it or bounce it quite as much to get the desired softness. So this saves a ton of space on set because you're not setting up point sources with bounce boards, diffusion, and flags, but instead you're just setting up an LED panel, maybe with a honeycomb or some diffusion. So what the panels have been struggling with for a while is having enough output to be effective in large spaces or outdoors. What the P600C is trying to accomplish here is it's trying to solve that problem, and I would say that's what's most exciting about this new fixture from Aputure. So the CRI and the TLCI are great. It sits around 95 for both, which is about standard for Aputure lights. So this light is giving you pretty accurate colors. I've never had an issue with the color fidelity of lights from Aputure, and this one seems to give very crisp light and very nice saturated colors in the RGB spectrum. So another big thing that Aputure has constantly been improving on with their new lights is the amount of control that you have. Their Sidus Link app, control boxes, and DMX are all options that are included, which makes it easy for anyone to use and access the light's controls at any time on set. And that's huge for me because if I can adjust the color, intensity, effects, gels, or anything on the light from anywhere on set, that's a huge bonus for me. It's going to save a lot of time, especially on a smaller production. So another great thing about this light is that it doesn't have step dimming, so you can have a smooth transition both between different levels of brightness and different hues in the color spectrum. So this is an awesome feature for things like music videos, creative lighting, but also for simple things like simulating light, TVs, digital billboards, and things like that. And that brings me to the next feature, which is the light effects. Aputure has several new fixtures which have lighting effects, and honestly they're pretty good. Fire effects, lightning, cop car, things like that. These are all things that are going to now be built into your light, and if they weren't, it would take some time to replicate them on set. Now this light gives you a ton of control over pretty much every aspect of color. You have the full RGB spectrum as well as color temperature from 2000 Kelvin up to 10,000 Kelvin, not to mention full control over saturation, hue, and intensity, as well as over 300 gels that are built into this light. And a new convenient feature that Aputure has added is that you can now change your white point so that you can desaturate your light to a different color temperature. So say you have some tungsten lights on set and you're using your Aputure light with the tungsten lights, and you want your Aputure light to start with a blue tone and then you want it to slowly desaturate to white. You can set your white point at 3200 Kelvin to match the tungsten bulbs, and then you can desaturate your light from blue to that new white point, so you're actually then desaturating to 3200 Kelvin instead of the typical 5600 Kelvin. So that's something that's kind of a small feature, but honestly that's a really nice feature and very smart of Aputure to implement in this system. So the light has 4 uniquely controllable color zones now. Some of the current effects that they have are pretty cool and definitely could be useful in some ways, like music videos, or if you have a unique situation which requires them. But what's even better about these controllable zones is that now, instead of requiring 4 different lights for multicolor effects or split lighting, you have it all in one fixture. And that's what's great about Aputure providing all this control over your fixture, because it's going to completely free you up to push the bounds of what is possible in lighting, and that to me as a DP is invaluable. So this light is really designed for everyone from YouTubers, small productions, people shooting interviews, all the way up to the largest productions where you have to have, 100 lights plugged in, and they all need to be controlled from a board. So this light already has the power supply built into the head, so you don't have to worry about where you're going to put your power supply or if you can hang it on your stand. This does make the fixture a bit heavier though, so it's still lighter than most of its competitors like the Sky panel, but it is still a little bit heavier than the occasional fixture which doesn't have the power supply built into the head. But in terms of weight, it's very efficient. So this brings me to my next main point, which is the form factor of this light. It now has 2 fasteners, both of which can be tightened in order to better support the weight of the unit, which is pretty substantial. It weighs about 30 pounds, so that means that it's not really suitable for C stands, so you're going to need to get a combo stand for it, which can be costly, and they're much more difficult to carry around than a C stand. So honestly, for as much as this light can do and how bright it is and the fact that it has the power supply contained within it, that weight is really good. But you do have to keep that in mind if you're doing run and gun shooting or something like that. It is going to weigh you down. So some alternatives to this light, which are great in terms of weight and form factor, are the Late Gear light mats. They now have RGB light mats, which are very customizable and modular so that you can make the source essentially as large or as small as you need. You can make it humongous if you need to. Which is really cool, and they're incredibly lightweight. I'm thinking like a 4x2 section of light mat maybe weighs like 5 pounds with a frame, so it's extremely light, which is great. However, they're also pretty expensive, and you also don't get nearly the same amount of light output as the P600C. So you essentially have a trade-off here between weight/form factor and light output. And that's how it goes with pretty much any lighting equipment. So you're going to need to make that decision based on the way that you work. If you're in a studio or you have good grip gear and a solid team that can safely rig lights, the P600C is an excellent choice. But if you don't have as much grip gear, or you have lighter weight grip gear and you need to move quickly, or you shoot in a run and gun style, this light can certainly work, but you're going to need to carry around a combo stand at the very least for it, so it's going to slow you down. So just keep that in mind. This light isn't going to be useful for all filmmakers. This is a little bit of a higher end light. It's for people on bigger productions, so if you're kind of a one-man band, it definitely can be really good for you and it can work, but you're just going to have to be strategic about how you use it. So when it comes to accessories, of the accessories that they released in their video, the most exciting accessory to me is the dual frame and the octabox. The dual frame is going to allow you to have a tremendous amount of light output because you're adding another light panel above it, because you're getting 2 LED panels in one frame, so you're basically doubling the amount of light output that you have. It's also going to be very soft due to the amount of surface area of the source, because you have 2 light panels now. So that's going to be extremely useful for larger productions and lighting larger spaces with soft light. Adding honeycombs to this is then going to allow you to have a huge amount of control of the light and keep it directional while still having an incredibly soft source, which is great. And then of course the octabox is going to give you a huge, very soft source as well, so that's going to be very exciting for rigging up, for an overhead light, beauty shots, any sort of product videography, or just having a quick, simple setup for soft light on your actors. So this light costs $3,290 for just the light itself, or you can buy it with a hard rolling case for $3,590. So it's about double the price of the P300C for double the output, a ton of brand new features, a larger surface area, and a huge amount of control over your light. So this is likely going to be my main key light in the near future as it starts shipping in late 2021. So overall, I think this is an excellent light. I think it's going to be very exciting to use. It's going to be a very good key light. It's going to be kind of a go-to light for a lot of filmmakers because you can quickly throw it up. Maybe with some diffusion, you might not even need diffusion. and it's going to give you a nice soft key light on your actors, plenty of brightness, so if you need to do wider shots you can just move it back instead of having to swap out lights, and just increase the intensity. And it's also going to allow you to light much larger areas because you have a lot more light output. So I'm really excited to see what people do with this light, and I would love to get my hands on one soon. So if you're interested in a review of this light when it comes out, let me know and I will gladly make a review. So that's about it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and if you did, please leave a like. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more content like this. I've also been doing a lot of work in Unreal Engine and showing you guys how you can use it for filmmaking as well. So if you're interested in that type of stuff, make sure you subscribe to the channel. I'm also working on a full filmmaking in Unreal Engine course for you guys, so that's in the works and it's coming as soon as possible, so stay tuned for that. Lots more coming on this channel and I'm really excited to share it with you guys. So feel free to leave a comment in the description if you have any other videos that you would like me to do. Thank you guys for watching and have a good one.